Hey everyone, Hexy here. I just wanted to take a second to go over my build. This is going to be a high damage build that is heavily focused on PvP play, but will still be competitive in PvP environment. You can actually build it more around PvE if that's your main focus. But this is primarily a PvP build, and our main focus on the entire build here, kind of the core of the build, is going to be on the ropes and compensated with Zerker and Optimus. Now you might be like, well, why are you focusing on that? You're gonna do like no damage. Well, essentially what we're trying to achieve with this entire build is a lot of survivability with a good amount of healing because of the skill power, and try to just boost as much damage as we possibly can do. The build kind of came about when I realized that on assault rifles here, they have a critical strike range from 10 to 45 meters. Now, if you've probably been playing this game a little bit, you'd probably be familiar with the vectors. They're actually insane, and they've been melting everyone into bits. Well, the reason why they are so insane is because they have crazy crit, but they also don't have a critical strike range from like a dead zone, I guess you could say. Their critical strike range is from 0 to 30 meters. So I was finding myself when I was using these AR builds to struggle versus the SMGs a lot when they would get in that range. But if I could keep them out of the range, I would do a lot of damage. So basically, the idea came about that we wanted to have little to no crit, so our build wouldn't super focus on that, and just try to raw damage pump as much damage as we possibly can. So the way that we are achieving this is compensated, which is weapon damage increased by 15% when your crit chance is below 20%. Hence why we're going very low crit or no crit, essentially, just to get that 15% increased damage there. Now, another thing that we're using is on the ropes. Weapon damage is increased by 25% while all skills are on cooldown. Now, this is as long as they're on cooldown. So if it's a multiple charge ability, as long as there's a cooldown ticking, you can still use it. Hence the chem launcher. We're also using Zerker, which is pretty much just a staple. If you have a gun that you can use it for PvP, it's one of the best. You could also swap this out for Unstoppable Force if you choose to go with something more PvE oriented, or maybe you enjoy the playstyle of Unstoppable Force a little better. And then to finalize it, we're going with Optimus on the gun here, which is just even more damage. Now, the reason why this particular build is so fun, and I'll go over all the gear in just a second here, is because our chem launcher, because we're pushing up our skill power so high, we're actually able to run some of the mods here. We have the 5 ammo mod and the 40% increased healing mod, which allows us to just literally rattle off so many of these things. And the greatest part is you can stack and sit inside of them. So you can literally just stack them up like this. And then the reason why we use the EMP here is because we can just tap it and instantly blow it up, or we can hold it and try to dismantle or disrupt someone's drones or anything along those lines. So now I have on the rope, as long as my chem launcher is charging, I will keep this 25% damage increase. So that's basically the gist of how this entire build plays. Now let's take a second, go over all the gear. And I do want to clarify before we go over all the gear, this particular build will literally work with any gun type. Obviously, mine is going to be focused on an AR because I like how precise I can be while shooting an AR, but you could use it with an LMG. It might even be more insane with an LMG if I'm being completely honest. I just haven't tried it out yet. You could do it with a rifle. You could do it with a marksman rifle. We'll actually show that I use the marksman rifle in this as well. It literally works with anything, and that's what makes it even more fun. Just god tier healing as well as tons of raw damage, and it just makes for a really interactive experience, being able to like shoot the heal and heal your friends, you know, and it's actually meaningful heals, and then being able to pump out that sick damage. But anyways, let's go over all our gear, kind of where our thought process is, and then towards the latter part of the stream, I'll go over the specialization that I'm playing, and I'll kind of go over all that sort of stuff as well. So for our gun, we're using the custom P416. The reason why I choose this particular AR over a lot of the other ARs is it just seems to be the most consistent. It just has really good damage, really good accuracy, it has good RPMs. It's just the most well-rounded badass gun. You could obviously go with the others, AK even more damage, CTAR faster rate of fire. I just don't have a CTAR that has the stuff that I want. Anyways, let's go over the talents. Optimist, this is basically what we were talking about earlier. The lower the mag gets, the more damage you get on top of all the other damage that we're stacking. Allegro for the rate of fire, so we can shoot that as fast as possible. And then we have in rhythm on this. This is just a holster talent. Pretty much do whatever you want with it. For our mods here, we're going with accuracy. Rounds, now I'm still on the hunt for the 20 round mag. That's ideal, but it is a random weekly to get that, so it's pretty hard to achieve. We're on the hunt. And then for the rail, we are using the laser pointer for that 5% crit. The reason why I'm doing this is just so I have a smidge chance to crit and just give me a little edge of damage. It's nothing too severe. You could also go with accuracy there if you feel. And then we have the accuracy muzzle. Now, the reason we're doing all this accuracy and all this stability is basically so I can laser beam my gun. I mean, look at that. So it's barely kicking. Like, there's the kick of it, right? And the reason why I'm so accurate with this and why it doesn't have like too much of a kick to it is because I'm running this, which we'll go over in a little bit. But this is 20% weapon handling, which is increased stability, increased accuracy. And I've heard it affects faster weapon swapping and faster ADSing. I don't know if that's true, but I do know it affects the stability and accuracy. Now, for this alternative slot, you can literally go with whatever you want. If you want to go with a marksman rifle, you can go with a marksman rifle. If you want to go with the chatterbox, you can go with the chatterbox. If you want to go with a shotgun, you can go with a shotgun. They're all super great. You can even dual wield ARs. But the reason why we're going with the chatterbox, for those that don't know, maybe some of you do not know, the main reason we're using this is blabbermouth. No real surprise here. While holstered, reloading your weapon within 5 seconds after a kill gains 20% rate of fire for 10 seconds. It's mostly kind of just a lazy thing. If I don't feel like swapping my guns, I'll just toss on a chatterbox and we're good. But if I'm feeling spicy and we're feeling good, we'll equip a sniper rifle, we'll equip the shotgun, we'll equip a vector, you know, whatever sort of stuff. Ideally, I like the shotguns and the sniper rifles is where I've been focusing. But a cool thing with the sniper rifle here is I can actually unload the mag here. We come in here. Now, for those that don't know, I'm running Optimist, so as the mag is missing, it does increase damage. I'm going to pop my EMP. I'm going to drop one of my things. I gain the on the ropes here, and now basically I have a low mag that is going to do increased damage. So when I pop on people, I'm doing so much damage with the sniper rifle, even though I'm not even spec'd into sniper rifle. You could even get this to be even crazier if you went sharpshooter and so on and so forth, more headshot damage, right? But this is just allows us to be really good in PvP. It's basically a one shot. We boom, hit. And then the cool thing is to keep it low mag, notice I'm reloading. We swing and an animation cancels our reload, and now I have a low mag again. So it's a really fun thing to do, and it's really insane, especially for PvP and even good in PvE. The other stuff that we have is the shotgun, which we can essentially do the same thing, kind of keeping with Optimist. Unload this. We can start reloading it. Animation cancel that, and now we have the shotgun again. But again, pick what you feel like using for this alternative gun. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, your main focus is going to be your main gun, and then this is kind of just a fun gun to either deal with close range, deal with long range, all of the above. But I have the chatterbox equipped just for laziness. For our holster weapon, you can pretty much go with whatever. I'm using a double barrel sawed-off, and the reason why I go with the double barrel sawed-off is because we have the high damage that I am able to basically just beam people with this, and I can essentially 1 to 2 shot people very consistently if I have my buffs up. It has Optimist, so it's always basically getting it after I fire the first shot. It's literally already buffed up a ton. And then we have overlap. The reason why I'm going with overlap is just for more handling bonus. Now what overlap does is there's a bunch of different things that it kind of rattles off. I actually don't know, because this is in the pistol slot, if this gives us the shotgun buff or if it gives us the pistol buff, but I'll basically let you know what both of them do. Shotgun buff is 5% increased fire rate. Pistol buff is 5% handling. Now, I don't really know. Honestly, it might just be placebo effect with this on, but I just wanted to buff myself again. Another thing is if meta becomes those shock bullets and the shock turrets, from the sets, which I don't know if that's going to happen because the sets are kind of so-so. We'll definitely be equipping transmission. This will always be in the slot, assuming that meta evolves, which basically transfers the shock if we do get shocked. But for now, I'm using this so I can 1 to 2 shot, and then we have the overlap for handling bonus. Now for our helmet, the main goal of all these particular pieces of gear is to get our skill power to be high enough so we can actually equip the skill mods on our chem launcher and on our EMP. So to achieve this, we are using the Providence Mask, which is 10% skill power here, and we're empowering it as well with another 10% skill power. And then ideally what we would like is health roll here. That way I should be able to get closer to 100k health, but that is the goal. This is just what I have. Tons of skill power, boosting our skill power by 20%. For our chest, basically what you're going to be looking for here is either like a skill power health bonus armor, or weapon damage health bonus armor, or even headshot damage health bonus armor, Zerker, and vitality. And the reason why we're choosing to go with vitality is to maximize our benefit on Zerker. I can essentially have my armor deplete almost as much as possible and ride the line of having low health, because I'm not going to instantly get deleted with 90 to 100k health. So I can kind of ride the line and benefit from Zerker as much as I possibly can. Obviously for mods, pretty much just get as much health as you can, or extra incoming healing, so on and so forth. For the holster, this is the new set that just came out for World Tier 5. The reason why we're choosing to go with the holster and the knee pads for that matter is the 2-piece, kind of like I went over earlier, which is 20% weapon handling. It's extremely noticeable. It feels extremely good. And it allows us to kind of laser beam our AR, which just, I don't know, it just makes it so fun to use. Ideally, our main focus here, skill power, trying to get as much as we possibly can while still achieving health on this, so we can boost our health up as much as possible, and then as high as we can go with skill power mods. I'll go over the skill power mods a little bit later when we talk about the skills. The backpack, essentially bonus armor health. I'd like a little more health here rather than the bonus armor, but it works. We're using the Gila for even more increased armor there. Skill power, vitality, and then the main bread and butter of the entire build on the ropes. And then we have the defensive mod, and we are using an offensive mod since we do have 1 red slot, which we are going with assault rifle damage, weapon damage, and damage to armor. For the gloves here, we are going with the compensated gloves. This is pretty much our bread and butter, like I said earlier. This is the whole purpose of the entire build. We have the assault rifle damage on the gloves, as well as more health. You could go with just straight raw assault rifle damage if you wanted, and we're using the Murakami for another 8% increased health there. And then for the knee pads, we're ongoing directive knee pads, again for that 20% weapon handling, skill power, and more skill power. Now, the main reason kind of why I want to go over some of the skills here and talk about this just a smidge is because it's a little bit confusing trying to get yourself to have skill power while trying to give yourself the most damage that you can get. Essentially, the reason why we're going so much skill power, as I said earlier, is we want to have the increased healing and we want the increased ammo capacity so I can drop it as much as possible. You could also potentially go with double increased healing here, so you get even more increased healing and just super stack it. If you feel you don't need 8 charges, maybe you want, the 3 charges, but they're just way more impactful. And that's basically the entire build there, going over all the entire pieces of gear, how we are able to achieve high skill power, how we're able to achieve our tankiness. I'm gonna go ahead and head back to the base, go over specializations, just so you kind of know what's going on and kind of give a last minute thought before we get on out of here. Oh, but wait, there's one last thing I forgot. Normalization. If you've gone into the normalized dark zone, or if you've gone into conflict, the battleground type game mode, the team deathmatch game mode, there is normalized stats in this game. So if you hit the X button here, you can actually see what your normalized stats are. Now, if you notice, my skill power drops quite a bit. This is a problem because unfortunately, the way that this works is your skill power mods don't actually adjust themselves for this. So there's 2 ways to go about this to kind of make it so it still works. One, you basically have to have a build that works for normalized, either by adjusting the skill power requirements on the actual mods here. So maybe you decide to go, I don't know if I have one on me right now, but you know, you go ahead and go with one that has 4 charges because it's a little bit cheaper, or you know, you go with whatever, you know, you get requirements that are less to kind of make up for this. Or 2, you have to keep these particular mods, and then you have to make up the skill power for normalize. So just make sure you're toggled here. And then what I actually have set up is I actually have a skill power Fenris chest, so I can keep that assault rifle damage. And if you notice, I actually have just barely enough. Now the downside is I am sacrificing a bit of health for this, and I technically need a better chest where I need vitality here, but it does have the skill power, health, and bonus armor with Zerker, and it does allow me to keep my skill power up, which allows me to still use my mods. I just wanted to go ahead and clarify that, so if you are someone that does a lot of conflict or does a lot of normalized dark zones, you have to do this or you will not be able to use those particular skills. That is all. All right, so now we're at the specialization hub. Again, the specialization that we're choosing to go with is Survivalist, and the reason why we're going with Survivalist is for the AR damage. If you're choosing to go with maybe a different gun like LMGs, you'd probably want to go Demolition, or rifles, you'd probably want to go Sharpshooter. But besides the point, we're going Survivalist. Now, you might not have 160 points available, which is totally fine. Your main focus that you're going to want to focus on when you start speccing yourself out is incendiary nade. Go ahead and grab that. And then you're going to want your assault rifle damage. That's just a 15% flat increased damage there. That'll buff you up, get that damage rolling. The next thing you're going to want to focus on is basically either over here on Survivalist, because you're going to want this for PvP and conflict, or you just focus on the outgoing healing. So really whatever you need to do, but you could grab the outgoing healing there, then come down here, grab that. If you're someone that's doing conflict and PvPing, you pretty much have to have that. Scrapping by is actually a phenomenal perk. Basically, when you go cover to cover, it restores 5 ammo per second with any gun type. It's my favorite because I go manhunt a lot and ammo starts to become an issue. So I just start going cover to cover everywhere, and boom, I am good to go. Max ammo out of my mind again. You have this, which is cooldown reduction. Doesn't really matter. We don't really need it. This is increased protection to elites. Don't really need it. Obviously, if you're PvEing, it's good. This particular med pack is kind of hit and miss. Like, I actually like using it because when I apply it, it applies to any group member within 10 meters, allowing me to heal them more with my chem launcher heals. But it does take 5 seconds to ramp up. So if you are someone healing and someone's pushing you, this might be bad to have because you're not going to get that insta heal right out the gate, which, so sometimes it's like hit and miss with this particular thing, but I like it because I can heal my party members. And then you have the increased shotgun damage if you want to run the shotgun, which is really nice. You can get the increased pistol damage, which is great because, as you saw, we're using the double barrel shotgun. This is the sidearm damage, so that's a 10% increased damage there. I don't know if it stacks with this shotgun damage. I think it does, but I'm not 100%. Grab that, and then really the rest doesn't too much matter. You know, get increased weapon damage, have it so you can actually have a signature weapon drop under status effect. The mag is pretty so-so, and the Mender drone is also pretty so-so. The reason why I'm not a fan of the Mender drone is just because it's essentially like the chem launcher drops, but it follows you around and it randomly drops circles on the ground for you. So you have to be paying attention to it, and you have to like go into those circles. It can be good if you're just sitting in cover, but ideally if I'm going to use the Mender ball, I would probably just use the Mender drone and keep chem launcher. It just seems to work out better. And that pretty much does it as far as our AR high damage build. Again, this particular build can literally work with any single gun type in the entire game. You just need to make sure you build it and add the weapon damage for the gun type you want. I'm going to go ahead and go over the stats real quick. Because that is something that a lot of people tend to ask. So obviously you can see all our buffs here, all our buffs. These are the weapon talents, yada yada, but this is mainly what people care about down here. So we have our weapon damage on our AR. I'm not going to show the other guns because the main focus is the AR. Obviously, you're able to see down here, we have the weapon handling. We have 36% assault rifle bonus damage, 6% all weapon bonus damage. We have the shotgun damage. We have no damage to elites. Here's our armor, our health, our hazard protection. Here's the skill power. Oh, that reminds me, I completely forgot to go over the skill mods. So real quick, I'll just go over the way skill power works. Obviously, to get the certain mods and use the particular mods, we need skill power. But there's another thing that you can use that equips into your gear called skill power mods. And some of the mods actually have certain particular things that'll say like hive power increase. So if we look at this, see how it says shield skill power 140? This is something to note because if you're maybe trying to achieve the 2100 or 2K-ish skill power on the chem launcher, you can actually go with potentially lower skill power here, but make up for it with the 140, or they go even higher, like 200, and I think they even go up to 300 maybe. But so you can go ahead and have the extra skill power just for the chem launcher, which will make it a little bit easier to get the skill power that you necessarily want. Unfortunately, I never got any of those mods, so I wasn't able to do that. I really do believe this is going to be a meta-changing build. It seems to be able to deal with the SMG meta very well. It's at the end of the day, it's like ridiculously fun to play. And it just has so much utility with from the healing to the good range to the hard hits to literally the fire nades, some of the best nades in the entire game. It's just been a joy to play, and it's been a joy to make this build, and I hope you enjoy playing it and running it, and please customize it to your liking if you want to run a different gun. That is all for me. Make sure you come and check out the Twitch channel if you want some live action gameplay. We'll be PvPing it up and PvEing it up. You guys all have a good rest of your day. I'll catch you in the dark zone. I'm out.